Hi, once again, I'm Chris.
And I am also Chris. Except that I'm not Chris at all, and I am, in fact, Dave. Okay. Today, this afternoon, in approximately 30 seconds, we will be reviewing Grotesque, the Japanese film from 2007, I believe, by director Koji Shirashi, a name I almost certainly cannot pronounce, and it is something.
We're talking in paraphrase now.
Yeah, no, I feel... I forgot where I was...
Yeah, okay, William.
...going with that.
And Mr. Shatner has left the building. So,
Japanese.
I don't know, I like this movie.
Oh, he directed Carve the Slit-Mouthed Woman. Japanese people hated it because it did not stick to the legend, but I found it was one of the better Tartan Asia Extreme ones. Just needed to do that little drop-in. Now we can go back to the Grotesque review.
Okay, so I actually really enjoyed this movie. The plot was basically like a crazed doctor who beat people over the head, dragged them back to his place, and basically systematically tortured them for days on end. And because he was a doctor, he would then heal them to torture them some more. For an extreme movie, it kind of let me down in a lot of areas. I thought like the torture could have been a little worse than it was.
Yeah.
I kind of felt like they little, you know.
It went a little more sexual than I was expecting it to go.
But it really not like. Yeah, it did. It really did. Like there was like a part where it was just like, oh, really? I mean, this isn't really torture. I mean, this is like fucking masturbation. I don't really understand like what's going on here.
Yeah, like he gets them both there, and he has them both on these like vertical tables facing one another. Now he has no idea that these two people, this is their first date.
Yeah, he doesn't know. He thinks they're like a couple for a long time.
Yeah, so he starts asking him how many times have you had sex. He starts asking him questions like that, and eventually it comes down to the fact that these two have not had sex.
Yeah.
And so he decides that he's going to take it upon himself to manually masturbate this one, and then manually masturbate this one.
Yeah. To like embarrass them or
to embarrass them in front of one another, or it's just that got a little bit more sexual than I really wanted it to.
Yeah, it's like I said, like I like the movie. Like
she started like actually like squirting like at one point.
Yeah, I thought she was peeing at one point.
I didn't know what that was. No, she was peeing at one point, but I mean like at that point.
It was a little weird. That got a little like overly perverted. Not that we care about that kind of stuff, but it just didn't really feel to fit in with the rest of the tone of the movie.
Yes, when you go into the rest of the movie, you kind of like when you go into a movie called Grotesque, you're not expecting like sexual.
It was too lovey-dovey of an extreme movie to be as extreme as it should have been. Like I said, the torture, just
the relationship between the two is is really what I felt like made the torture more torturous. Is the relationship between the two characters.
Even though they just had met, they were building up because of the situation they were thrown into. They were building up such a you know.
This was obviously somebody he has had a crush on for like I guess.
Yeah, somebody that he really liked, and she obviously liked him, and now they were together. And
I mean, and then he starts like torturing him in various like driving like these giant like railroad spikes into his testicles and
always giving him the option that he'll stop torturing her and torture her.
He'll stop torturing
him and torture her if he says so.
Yeah, and but both of them will get off if the doctor gets sexually stimulated. If they can in some way sexually stimulate him.
Yeah.
He starts off by cutting off their fingers with chainsaws and whatnot. I don't know how that's sexually stimulating. I guess to some people, like who are psychotic, that might be sexually stimulating. To me, that's not sexually stimulating. But, you know, by the time he cuts off his penis, all of a sudden he's sexually stimulated.
Yeah. So
he decides to tell him blah, blah, blah. So that just leads into even more torture. Now it leads into emotional torture.
Yeah. Yeah, then it goes into emotional torture and him healing them, like telling them they're free to go and then him healing them.
He hooks his intestines, like the last scene and whatnot, I don't know, because me telling it to you and you seeing it are two completely different things. So I don't have any problem telling you that he cuts his rectum out and hooks it up to a hook and he's got to walk across the room to get a scissor.
Save the girl.
Yeah.
Free her from her bond and save the girl.
Save the girl.
Which is obviously an impossible feat.
Yes, he has to cut his intestines. Yeah.
It was just like, even like the mutilation in this movie, like, I'm sorry, as a gorehound I wasn't that satisfied. I did like the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I thought like the story was good, like, or at least decent. But like the torture scenes just kind of didn't do anything for me. They've been done to death.
With movies, with the guinea pig series, with Flower, Flesh, and Blood, movies
like that. We've seen all that already.
Yes,
show me something different.
It's not. Yes, exactly. It's like you really got to show me some razzle dazzle. That was back in the '80s, dude. At this point, man, you really got to show me some razzle dazzle.
To me, a chainsaw is instant comp out. Like, instant cop-out. If you're gonna remove a limb with a chainsaw...
Okay, here's the part that I did like about the chainsaw, though. It's like, when he brought the chainsaw down through the hand, it hit the metal table and sparked.
Oh, no, it did.
I
like,
liked that.
There was a lot of
I did like
realism,
that.
like, as far as, like, what was going on. Like, I think the best scene was the nipple-cutting scene.
Oh, God, yeah.
I think that was the most, like, to me, it was the standout gore scene.
Yeah, that might have been. That and the intestine scene, I think, was
The
really
intestine
like,
scene was good.
was the coup de grace of this movie.
But it didn't, like, for an extreme movie, it didn't have much going for it other than that. Nothing that you haven't seen a million times before.
No, it's
And they should have been tortured a fuck of a lot more.
It's disgusting. It's going to belong on every extreme list.
Yeah, no, it does.
Certainly, it really does.
It does.
You know, it has everything.
It was extreme. It's just on the lower end of extreme.
Yes, I feel like a little too much CGI. It wasn't CGI that you're gonna be like, oh god, that's so unbelievable.
No, there was not very much CGI at all.
No, there wasn't.
A lot of that was like practical effects. Or at least it looked like. And if it was CGI, it was good CGI.
Yeah, like towards the end when that thing at the end happened.
Oh yeah,
that was definitely CGI, but it wasn't bad CGI. It wasn't CGI where you're like, oh, Sci-Fi Channel.
Yeah.
No, it was
like the CGI had it was top notch.
Yeah.
It was hard to tell that it was CGI. It wasn't done bad.
Mm-hmm.
The story got a little like cutesy at times, and then it just didn't stick. The tone, I think, was off. I really think that was a major problem with the movies, that the tone kept going on and off.
Well, I felt like that was to establish these two characters so as to make what was going to happen even more torturous.
No, I agree, but it just, I don't know, something just didn't click about it.
Yeah.
Like, as a whole, it just didn't come together the right way.
The fact that these two people this was their first date, I thought that was really neat.
No, it was cute.
Taken right after this first date, and they brought into this torture emporium. Doctor something's torture emporium.
Dr. Nutso's emporium.
Torture emporium.
So, I mean, I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like, out of all the movies that we had seen in the past couple weeks, it was enjoyable. It didn't make me want to fucking smash my head through a television or anything.
Yeah, like Lake Placid 3, but
Oh, Jesus.
As far as torture flicks go, I mean, if you're into the simulated snuff subgenre, if you're into that type of thing, you'll never hear me use the word torture porn. I think that's fucking ridiculous. You definitely buy this. You know you're going to. You know you want to. You know you need it. You know you gotta have it to get it.
It was a good addition to an extreme collection, but like I said, on the lower end of it.
Yeah, like as far as even the Japanese go, I mean, they have so much shit out there that like this just doesn't even touch the tip of the nipple.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
So I would give this a 7.
I'm gonna agree with you with a 7. I really want to say 8.
I do, because I liked the characters.
I did.
I liked all of them. I liked the killer. I liked the two people that were in the situation.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they didn't come together. They were missing something in coming together. Like in the movie itself, not in the character's angle, but in like the movie itself coming together.
The last stitch.
Yeah.
I guess is what you're saying.
It was just missing something. I can't put my finger on it, but other than that, I would give it a 7. I do think you should at least rent it.
Yeah, if you're into that subgenre, you're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Gonna love it.
So.
I mean, like I said, I want to give it an 8. I really want to give it an 8, but I mean...
Something was missing.
Yes.
It's just, there's an ingredient that just wasn't there, so it's going to stay with its 7 to me.
I feel like it was like, basically what they were trying to do was an emotional flower of flesh and blood.
Yes. I thought it was more of a flower of flesh and blood with the plot.
Yeah, flower, flesh, and blood with the plot.
I think that was fair, but the plot was just missing something. Maybe it was something tiny, I don't know. But either way, 7. And don't neuter and spay your first date. Because she probably won't be able to do anything with you after that.
Oh my god, don't do that.
Yeah. So this is the one time I'm going to tell you not to neuter and spay something. Anyway, have a nice night, or a day, or whatever the hell it happens to be where you are.
Oh, I can't stop laughing. Have a nice night.
Peace out.